What is up, guys? Johnny01 here with another FIFA 16 tutorial. I know it's been a while since I made a FIFA 16 tutorial, but there are going to be more coming soon. This one's going to be another FIFA 16 attacking tutorial, more specifically of when to sprint. I know a lot of you guys have been asking, when should I sprint? Should I sprint a lot? Should I sprint very little? And hopefully in this video, it will tell you a good example of when to sprint and when not to sprint. So the first thing is, a lot of people think you should sprint all the time. Hold down that R2 button, hold down that RT button, and just go full speed ahead with your pacey players. But that is not a good idea because there's a lot of effects of sprinting. First one, you can't really change direction. You don't really have that ball control, so you can't really do those quick change of directions, and you can't get through those tight spaces. So when you're inside that penalty box, a very, very bad idea to sprint because you can't switch directions at the last second. You can't get into those tight spaces. You know there's going to be a lot of defenders there, so it's definitely not a good idea in those situations. It makes your passing way worse. You don't really have that accuracy. You don't really have the power that you would if you weren't to be sprinting. And of course, you can't even do skill moves while sprinting. You have to release the sprint button, catch up to the ball, get some ball control, and then you can do the skill move. So if you plan on doing skill moves and on the dime, you're not going to be able to do it if you're sprinting. So keep that in mind. So now, when do you sprint in the game? When should you sprint in FIFA 16? The first situation, obviously, the most obvious ones, during breakaways or counterattack. There's a lot of different situations in this game. When you have a breakaway, you've got the numbers. If you have the numbers, of course, hold down that sprint button. You got those pacey players. You got Aubameyang. You got that counterattack going. Hold down that sprint button. Try to get up the pitch as quickly as possible. Leave the defenders in the dust. As long as you have the numbers, go full speed ahead. If you start to see there's a bunch of defenders, very few of your attackers, don't sprint. Take your time. But if you do have those numbers, you do have that counterattack, you need that quick goal, of course, sprint. Whenever you see a bunch of open field, a bunch of open space, go ahead and sprint and go full speed ahead. Do the knock on if you have to. Now, the second situation where the sprint is really, really effective is with the wingers or even the left back and right back if your formation has those type of players. The wingers, you usually have a whole bunch of space in front of you, and you want to get up the pitch quickly, get by those midfielders, get by those defenders, and either get yourself in position to cut in or to cross the ball into the middle and find that header. So with your wingers, definitely, if you have space, of course, you must have a lot of space because like I said, guys, sprinting makes your ball control worse. You can't really change directions. You can't really stop on the dime as well as if you weren't sprinting. So make sure you have a ton of space ahead of you. A lot of times in the wings, you will have that space. So go for it. Go up the pitch, get near that penalty box, and then either try to cut in or try to do some crosses. Whatever the situation calls for, definitely do it. So the wingers, I do like to do sprint just because they usually have a whole lot more space and a whole lot more field to work with. You don't really need to switch directions as much. You don't really need to get through tight spaces. And the third situation is more for advanced players. These are players with a lot of experience. If you're not really sure yet, don't sprint at all. Don't sprint other than the first two situations. This third situation is more for when you already have knowledge of FIFA and you know how much space is needed for you to be able to sprint. So here in this situation, we got an opportunity and I don't really have much space. I see a bit of space, not too much, and I decide to sprint, and that's just because I'm already used to FIFA 16. I'm already used to how much space I need, and I was able to realize I can do that. But if I wasn't, then if I would have sprint there, more than likely an unexperienced player, the goalkeeper could have anytime come out, rushed out at me. You really have to learn how much space you need in order for you to be able to successfully sprint and maintain possession and not have a defender come in and take the ball away from you. Around 80% of the time, guys, you should not be sprinting in FIFA 16, if not more. If you're not really experienced, if you're not really that great and you really want to improve your attack, I recommend play a few games, play a few tournament games, online tournament games, or online season games if you're on the higher divisions, where you just don't sprint at all. Don't sprint at all and practice actually passing, practice moving the ball up the pitch. You just saw that beautiful attack I just did right there. Not once did I sprint. I did not sprint once in that attack. And that is the perfect attack. That is the perfect attack. Passing the ball left to right, up and backwards, whatever it requires, wherever it's open, moving the defenders where you want them to be, so then you get the other side of the pitch open and realizing, reacting, and that is what you do. You do not at all need to sprint in those situations. When you're attacking through the middle, which in my opinion is the best way to attack in FIFA 16, through passes, through the middle, short give and go passes, 1-2 passes, you do not need to sprint. You should not sprint at all, because sprinting, like I said at the beginning of this video, will make your passes be less accurate. It won't be good passes. Your players won't have that ball control. The passes just won't get to the player as well as you would want them. So definitely don't sprint in those situations. You do skill moves, do the precision dribbling. All these things do not require you to sprint. Way too many people sprint far too often, and then it's really easy for a defender to get in the way and take the ball away from you. So be aware of that. That's basically it for this tutorial. Hopefully you guys understood and realized that you really don't need to sprint in FIFA 16 as much as many of you guys do. Breakaways and with the wingers is the most scenarios. And then of course, if you're more advanced, you start to realize how much space you need to sprint and when you can sprint. But thank you guys so much for watching. Please like, comment, and share this video with all your friends to get it to as many people as possible. Click on one of the boxes in the screen to check out some of my other series. And of course, click in the middle to subscribe so you don't miss out on any future tutorials or tip videos. Thanks, guys.